Okay. So we'll continue our discussion now. So what we just talked about is actually important, okay? Because after we talk about monosaccharide, we will continue introduce some important disaccharide from plant source, and we should be able to tell the monomers whether they are linked via alpha or a beta linkage, okay? Alpha glycosidic bonding or a beta glycosidic bond. Because for some disaccharide, the constitutional monosugar are the same, but their linkage are different, and this will result in different types of disaccharide also, okay? And we will talk about this also in our next chapter when we talk about glycoside. This is also useful, okay? So now this is the adenosine, and adenosine is what type of glycoside is adenosine from their chemical structure? Can you tell what type of glycoside? We just talked about there are 4 types, right? According to the chemical group of a gene that involved into the glycoside linkage, there are 4 types of glycosides, okay? So what is from its chemical structure, what type of glycoside is adenosine? Any idea? Any volunteers? It is
what is the question?
My question is, what type of glycosides is adenosine according to the gene, the chemical group of the gene that involved in the glycosidic linkage? There are 4 types, right? Linked with a hydroxyl group, a thiol group, amino group, or alkyl. What type of this glycoside is adenosine?
Amino?
Yes, correct, right? Everyone could agree? So it's an N-glycoside. Okay, thank you. Now the sugar part is D-ribose, okay? The sugar part is D-ribose, and the gene part is the glycan part is adenine. And the D-ribose now is linked with adenine through an amino group, right? So it's an N-glycoside. And adenosine is one type of nucleosides, okay? What is nucleoside? Nucleoside is a glycosine amine, in which the amino residue is pyrimidine or purine. For this case, adenosine, the amino residue is a purine, right? It's adenine is type of purine, and there were actually 4 different nucleosides. The sugar part is the same. It's all ribose, okay? And the gene parts are different. So there are basically 4 types of bases, okay? A, T, C, G. And this is a ribose nucleoside. If it's deoxyribose, then they constitute our genetic material, DNA, right? Okay. Now we will discuss some medicinally important carbohydrates that most of them are from plant source, but also but like we talked about in our previous lecture, it's not limited to plant source, okay? But in a broader sense, they can be from animal source or even microorganisms, okay, from natural products, okay, natural sources, okay. So we will introduce their natural occurrence from the sources where it's from, okay, and their preparation methods and their uses. So we will start from monosaccharide, the simplest one, okay, monosaccharide. And among monosaccharide, the most common one is glucose, as we used as an example to talk about their chemistry, right? We took glucose as an example, and its plant source is simple. It's from grapes, okay. And actually, in Chinese, most of the names, the saccharides are derived from their natural sources. For example, for glucose in Chinese is 葡萄糖, and the natural occurrence is its natural occurrence is grapes. And the 葡萄 in Chinese means grape, okay. So the Chinese names of saccharide is derived from its natural sources, okay. I don't know if I'm actually quite curious, how is your Chinese now?
Chinese is 一点点
especially
trying,
for
we're trying
those
little,
of
little.
okay, yeah, trying. Okay,
Yeah.
little by
我
little.
说中文一点点。
Okay.
他说中文一点点 你们 你们说中文一点点
Actually, I'm impressed. So you have a Chinese course, right? Chinese
对
courses
对对，
Yeah.
in listening, speaking,
Listening, speaking, writing.
reading, writing also. I'm impressed. It's hard to write. Okay. And so actually, just like we talk about in Chinese language, most of the names, the saccharide, are derived from natural source. Okay, so glucose is 葡萄糖, and the grape, 葡萄 means grape. Their natural sources. Okay, so how to prepare? How is glucose prepared? It's actually prepared by complete hydrolysis of starch. And please pay attention, it's by complete hydrolysis, okay? If it's incomplete, then we get other things that we talk about in just a few minutes, okay? All right, So what's glucose used for? For one thing, it can be used for it can be a ready source of energy in various forms of starvation, because glucose is the saccharide that our body can consume. Okay, even if we get high carbohydrates from food, either from rice, wheat, corn or cereal, all these starch, they should be digested and metabolized into monosaccharide to be used for. Okay, so glucose is oxidized. What in the beginning of this chapter we introduced, glucose is oxidized to carbohydrate, to carbon dioxide through glycolysis in the cell, especially in subcellular compartment mitochondria, to produce ATP for body to use, right, for as an energy supply, right? Okay, so in a situation like starvation, if it's given direct glucose, then it's easy. It's for the body. It's a rapid supply of energy, right? Because if you give other carbohydrates, then they will gonna be digested and metabolized to convert into glucose to be used. If it's direct glucose, then it will rapidly supply energy, right? Okay, so this is the first point. And then it will also used in osmotic diuretic disease, okay, from IV injection. So IV is a medical term, right? Everybody knows what IV means. It's a medical term, right?
Yeah. It's a medical term.
It means intravenous injection, right? Intravenous injection. Okay.
Something injection like I think they pass through your vein.
Yes.
Something like that.
Okay. And the third is it can be used as a solution, also given intravenously, to sustain the fluids and to sustain the body, the blood volume. So that's why if you get sick, before you get medicine from IV injection, you will firstly the nurse will first give you some supplement of glucose solution, right? Okay. So this was what it's used for sustain a fluid, okay, before you get some medicine. Excuse me. So this is glucose. And now for fructose, is different from glucose. It's a ketose, right? Remember, it's a ketose. So now, can fructose react with filling solution or tolerance? Does fructose react with filling solution or tolerance? Yes or no?
You're asking what are fructose react with
Feeling.
feeling or tolerance, right?
Yes.
I think it react with both.
It's both. Any different opinions? It's a ketose, right? With ketone group. Can ketone be oxidized by feeling? The weak
Sorry, Lassie,
oxidant.
what is the question?
Does fructose react with feeling solution or tolerance reagent?
I think it should be the reagent.
No, it is fructose. It's a ketose with ketone groups, and the ketone, they are not easily oxidized. They can only be oxidized by strong oxidant, but not feeling or tolerance. Okay, that's the difference from a ketose or an aldose. Okay, for aldose, it can turn the feeling, the green, bluish solution into brick red precipitate, but not for ketose. Okay. All right. So for fructose, its natural occurrence is in fruits and honey. That's why it's called fructose. Okay. And how do we prepare fructose? It's by hydrolysis of sucrose and subsequent preparation of fructose from glucose also, or by hydrolysis of inulin. And inulin we will introduce, but maybe not today, but in our next one. It's a polysaccharide, so it's a polymer. Okay, it's a polymer. And what's fructose used for? It can be used as a food or as a food for diabetic persons. For diabetic persons, they can eat fructose as in their for food, but not glucose, because the metabolism of fructose doesn't require insulin participation. Okay, so for diabetes person, they have trouble in the function of their insulin is not working properly. Okay, so for diabetes person, they can eat fructose because the metabolism of fructose doesn't involve with insulin participation. But only a small part of fructose is converted to glucose after the gastro and intestinal absorption. So it will not lead to obvious blood glucose rise for diabetes patients. And for them, the fructose meet the taste need. They taste sweet and doesn't cause too much fluctuation of their blood sugar. That's why it can be used as a food for diabetes patients, but for them, they can only consume appropriate amount of fructose, because fructose will also produce certain calories and will cause blood sugar rise. Besides fructose, diabetes persons can also choose xylitol or sorbitol, amino sugar, other appropriate amount of other forms of the carbohydrate supply. Okay. And it can also be used, fructose also can be also used in infant feeding formula for baby. And this is glycosamine, or also called amino sugar. It's naturally present in the shellfish, animal bones, bone marrow, and some fungi. And it's prepared by hydrolysis of chitin with concentrated hydrochloric acid. So chitin is also polysaccharide, and you will find that monosaccharide or disaccharide are always prepared from hydrolysis of a polysaccharide. Okay, so the glycosamine is prepared by hydrolysis of chitin with concentrated acid, hydrochloric acid. The oral glycosamine is marketed as a treatment of osteoarthritis, as a glucosamine is a precursor for glucosamine glycan, which are major components of joint cartilage. So it's actually a product already. So the glycosamine prevent cartilage degeneration and treat arthritis. And the fourth one is the liquid glucose. It's prepared by incomplete hydrolysis of starch. So let's go back and look at glucose as a pure monosaccharide. It's prepared by complete hydrolysis of starch. And for liquid glucose, it's a mixture actually, and prepared by incomplete hydrolysis of starch. So it consists mainly of dextrine, maltose, and water. So basically it's a mixture. It's not a pure compound. It shouldn't contain more than 20% of water. And what's this used for? Often used as a sweetening agent in food industry and a substitute for sugars in syrup. And it can also be used in massing pills, but it cannot be used intravenously. And why? Because it is from incomplete hydrolysis of starch. There are dextrose, dextrine, and maltose. These are all these stuff cannot be endured in the blood circulation system. of human, right? This is for typical monosaccharide, and we'll also look at some synthetic glucose derivatives. And these are two typical synthetic glucose derivatives, and both of them are gold derivative of glucose. And actually, both of them are used in treatment of rheumatic arthritis. Okay, now we look at some sugar alcohols. As we talk about in their the chemistry, the chemical reactivity of monosaccharide of glucose, we already know that sugar alcohols is how do we prepare sugar alcohol? Like we talk about in the chemistry of monosaccharide, the chemical reactivity of sugar, monosugar. It's from reduction of corresponding sugar, right? Remember? We go back here. Remember here, right? So this is sugar, and this is their corresponding sugar alcohol. It's from reduction from the saccharide sugar, or and in the reduction reaction, only the aldehyde group is reduced to methanol group, and the rest hydroxyl or the methanol group here, they doesn't change, right? The rest of the groups, they kept what they are. Only the aldehyde is reduced to methanol group, okay? So this is how we get sugar alcohol from their corresponding sugar. To name a few of them, there are three. First one is mannitol, and it's prepared by reduction of mannose, right? Its corresponding sugar is mannose. And what is a plant source? It's naturally present in manna. It's a ornamental tree. And what's this used for is can also be used for osmotic diuretic, and also a diagnostic agent in kidney function test. And it's excipients in chewable tablet. And mannitol hexanitrate as its derivative can be used as a coronary vasodilator. And it's the other derivative is mannitol nitrogen mustard used as a antioplastic agent in industry. This is mannitol. And for sorbitol, it's from reduction of glucose or fructose. So you reduce glucose or fructose, you get the same thing. You both the reduction of both glucose or fructose, you'll get sorbitol, okay? And its natural source is from ripe berry, a kind of ripe berry. Can be used as a sweetening agent to be taken orally in case of, for example, toothpastes and chewing gums, and as a vehicle in elixirs. It can also be used as a nutrient and the sources of energy from IV injection, and as a dietary supply for diabetes patients. Again, why? It's actually because of the same reason as the one we talk about in what? Fructose, right? It's the same reason. Because the metabolism of sorbitol, again, doesn't involve this insulin function, doesn't require insulin participation. Will not change your blood sugar digits. So sorbitol. And the last one, xylitol, naturally present in fibers of many fruits and vegetables, as berries, corn husk, and mushroom. Similarly, it's prepared by from reduction of xylose. And we all like xylitol because it's the sweetener in chewing gums, pacityl, and oral hygiene products as toothpaste, fluoride tablets, and mouthwash. It's known as a tooth-friendly sugar. So it tastes sweet, but doesn't harm your tooth. Because the structure contains chidentate ligand that can rearrange with calcium ion, and also it is a specific inhibitor of the microorganism Streptococcus mutant in that cause our tooth trouble. Okay, so this is sugar. Alcohol are all prepared from reduction of corresponding sugar. And how about sugar acids? In contrast, sugar acids are prepared by oxidizing corresponding sugar. Okay, go back to the chemistry. Metals can be oxidized by filling and tolerance to get their corresponding sugar acid or gluconic acid. Okay. So for gluconic acid, we'll look at these two. One is calcium gluconate, and the other is ferrous gluconate. When glucose is oxidized to gluconic acid, and in this calcium carbonate condition, it will combine the calcium ion to form a calcium gluconate. And what's this used for? It's actually used as a soluble and non-toxic tolerated form of calcium supply. It's given orally or IM. It's also a medical term, means intramuscular injection, right? And IV is intravenous injection. So calcium gluconate can be either given orally or from muscular injection or intravenous injection. And it's indicated in calcium deficiency, such as parathyroid deficiency and general calcium deficiency in women and children. This is for calcium gluconate. And how about for ferrous gluconate? It's the same thing when glucose is oxidized to gluconic acid and combines with the ferrous ion to get ferrous gluconate, okay? And it's classified as hematinic and given orally or by injection in the iron deficiency anemia. It causes less gastric distress than other iron salts. So it's more often used to treat iron deficiency anemia. And this is glucuronic acid, and this is present in a chair conformation. Okay, so you can see the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the methanol group on the 5th carbon is now oxidized into what? Carboxylic group, right? Originally for glucose on the 5th carbon, it is the methanol group, okay? Now it's oxidized to carboxylic group to get glucuronic acid. And it's usually occurs naturally as a component of many gum, mucilage, and hemicellulose, or polysaccharide, okay? Gum and mucilage and hemicellulose are all polysaccharides. And it's what's this used for? It's used to relieve certain arthritic condition. And why? Because this is a component of cartilage, nerve sheath, joint capsule, tendons, joint fluid, and intercellular cement substance. The last one is ascorbic acid, and ascorbic acid is actually what very important vitamin for human and other animal also. It's vitamin C. So vitamin C is actually the chemical term for vitamin C is ascorbic acid. Okay, so it's naturally present in various citrus fruits, potato and tomatoes. And it can also be synthesized from glucose also in industry. This is a natural source, and this is from industrial synthesis. And ascorbic acid or vitamin C is essential for normal functioning of living cells, and it's involved in many enzymatic reactions. So it's a vital vitamin of vital importance for human or animal as well. It's required for the development of cartilage, teeth, and bone, wound healing, and aiding the absorption of iron from intestine. And it acts as an antioxidant also. Okay, so these are some important monosaccharide and their derivatives. Sugar, some synthetic sugar derivative and sugar alcohol, and the last one is sugar acids, and this is all for the monosaccharide. And now it's time to stop. And in our next one, we'll talk about some medicinally important disaccharide and polysaccharide. And we'll also talk about qualitative and quantitative identification of saccharides in our next one. And we'll meet on Wednesday afternoon, I guess. And that's all for today. Okay. Bye now.
Thank you,
Okay, Lao Shi, thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.